This is the Refuge Project.
Welcome to the Refuge Project. The Refuge Project is a place that we can have meaningful conversation in a safe place. And we're back, baby!
Woo! Where's my buttons? There we go.
I think we're back.
Yeah,
we're
been, really doing
We've been back a couple weeks that it didn't come back.
We just keep trying.
We keep trying. And hopefully this is the week that.
So look at us, people.
We got it. Show them all the shots.
We got cameras. Look at that. Okay,
we got cameras everywhere.
That's a split one,
Yep.
And then you saw this one.
All right.
Yeah,
and
then we can just get in.
Here's my
beautiful face.
Hey.
But here's the money shot.
Hey,
here's the money shot.
You
There he is. The money shot. And then we've also you saw the beautiful logo.
Oh yeah.
When we started, you people saw that.
Yeah. So we got all the shots, bro. We got all. Now if we can just get the shots and the audio to line up.
So we did. So last week we did our first one back, and it didn't work.
No.
We did a whole episode, and halfway through it started lagging, and it got weird. The audio and the video were weird.
Yeah, and it was like watching a foreign film, and it was rough.
Yeah.
So we scrapped it, and we're back.
And that was after a month and a half, 2 months of us trying to get this working.
You don't even know. We went through.
You people don't know.
Cameras and microphones and stand.
These things here.
Yeah.
Trash.
Well,
trash.
they might be good.
They're good for somebody,
but we
they
don't
weren't
know
good
how to
for us.
We don't know how to use them.
Weren't good for us. I don't know why.
You know, the interwebs and the YouTubes, they say they're good, but for us,
I'll tell you this. I told my video friend at some point when I bought that GoPro, like a couple years ago, because I bought it thinking I was wanting to have a quick, easy way to have to be able to like shoot videos of music stuff. So if I was working on a part for something, I could just hit go on the GoPro, record stuff, and it would be like a easy video, and hopefully it would look better than my phone. I wanted it to just be set up and be simple and easy. That was the idea. It didn't end up happening because it ended up not actually being easier than the phone.
Phones are so good.
Like getting it from the GoPro to the phone always was more difficult than it's supposed to be, and it wasn't significantly better looking, so I kind of didn't use it. But anyway, I told my friend at some point. I told him what I just told you. And I was like, yeah, I got a GoPro. And he was like, oh, yeah, the GoPro. Like, he didn't want to just talk trash about what the thing, like the idea that I just told him, I guess since I'd already bought it. Too.
Right.
But you could tell he was like, oh, GoPro. Okay.
And they're not cheap.
I mean,
they're supposed to be good, right?
They're cheap. They're kind of cheap. I don't know. I don't know that much about cameras.
I mean, they're hundreds of dollars.
They're more expensive than these cameras we got now.
Yeah. And I think this is...
And these ones are working.
Look how good I look.
These ones are actually working.
Yeah.
Look at us, man.
So we don't know if it was the camera or if it was us, right?
I'm just gonna make gestures with cameras now that we have cameras. Just stupid.
But you see podcasts on YouTube all the time.
You do.
How hard could it be?
Couldn't be that hard.
Wrong.
It was way more difficult than it should have been. It was way tougher than it should have been.
Yeah, it was tough. But hopefully we're here.
I think we got it working.
Yeah.
So I told you last week on the one that
didn't come out,
just destroyed. That my sister's been asking me. She's, hey, what's going on with the podcast? Why
we've had some people wanting, Jimmy was in here today. He was inquiring like, hey,
shout outs to Jimmy.
Yeah, when we gonna get some content coming out? Yeah.
But I told you last week, I was like, you can tell like how far behind people are by when they started saying, hey, when's the new episode?
Yeah,
because we were like a month or so out of not making episodes,
and people were
they were just being like, hey, where's the podcast? There's no new episode this week. I'm like, yeah, man, you didn't. But anyway,
keep talking. I'm gonna look up something real quick.
All right, go for it.
And so I was trying to find.
He said, keep talking. You can start. Go ahead. Tell me the story.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I didn't have anything to stall with.
No.
Oh, I'll tell you this because I said this on the last podcast that we scrapped. I'm trying to remember all the stuff we talked about. I finally got my fence picked, built and done.
Tell about
and
Papa's
happening.
finger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his finger, dude. So I had that fence down for forever, right? And it was down for like 8 months, just laying there. And I was always
Killing the grass.
Killing the grass. Yeah, I still got a little patch where it's dead, but whatever. But I kept not doing it because one, I kept either just not having the time, like I was busy doing something, or I didn't want to spend the extra money at the moment, or my dad was busy because my dad's got the pole digger stuff and all, so I was gonna use his tools and have him help me. So it was like trying to get all three things, and then he keeps going to Colorado, so he'd be out of town, and then I'd be busy the next week, and anyway, so it laid there for like 7 or 8 months. So I finally got it. We got all the time together, and we were gonna do it, right? But you know how it goes. Nothing ever works the way it's supposed to work, and everything takes way longer than it's supposed to take. So we went out there to dig the first hole for this fence, and I had this tree that's like right where we need to dig the hole, and so it should take you, I don't know, like 15 minutes to dig that hole and pour some concrete in there, and then you move on to the next one. We had like 5 we got to do. That's about how long the fence is. We bought like 60 pickets, so however long that is. But yeah, we go to the first one. Should take like 15 minutes. It took us, I think, like 3 hours because we kept having to like cut up the roots of the tree. I ended up just chopping the tree down, but even once you chop the tree down, you still, all the stuff that's underneath the ground. You know, there's a lot of tree under the ground, which is all right there where we need it.
It's always where you got to do the
always.
Hole. Always.
So that was 15 minutes. That ended up being 3 or 4 hours. And then so it took me like 2 days to get this fence built. And the second day, my grandpa came out there because, you know, he's the woodworking guy these days, and but he's also old, and so he doesn't want to do too much.
Oh, like 85 old.
No, he's like 82. No, he's 81.
Does it matter when you're that old? 81 to 85?
Doesn't matter. We're about to have
all the 80-year-olds were like, yes.
Well, my grandma's about to turn 80. Hey, claps, where's the clap button? My grandma's about to turn 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big thing. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, so he comes out the second day, and he's kind of like project manager, basically. He's like, hey, measure this, and then he'll cut the wood, and then you guys go put it up, is kind of how it's going. Yeah, y'all need to measure that, do this, and that. He'll cut, and then, so he's cutting, we're trying to cut some piece of wood, and he's worried with this cut. He's using the handsaw. He's worried that he's going to cut the edge of his tailgate, because the tailgate's the workbench, right? Hey, that's how it is.
Cars are expensive these days.
Yeah, and he's got a nice truck.
Yeah.
So he's worried that he's going to hit the edge. So his solution is he's got his finger under the wood touching the tailgate to kind of gauge and make sure he doesn't hit. He cuts his finger. Shocker. Yeah. On that one there.
I'm going to use my finger for a gauge.
And so he cuts his finger. You know, he goes, "Arr!" You know, he's jumping around and stuff. And my dad's immediately, "Call 911, James, call." And I'm just like, well, let's hold on.
Let's find his finger first.
I was like, well, because I didn't know how bad. I mean, he cut it with a saw, so it can't be good, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if he cut his finger off or if he just needs a Band-Aid.
Yeah, or just
somewhere in between.
Trimmed his nail.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but there's blood, and so I'm kind of, I go run and get some paper towels to get the blood.
Because you don't have kids and you don't got bandages and stuff.
Yeah. So all I had was, for Band-Aids, I had one pack. I don't know how old they are, where they came from. This one little like 6-pack of, no, it was the Grinch. The Grinch Band-Aids. And he's using some like sweaty, oily rag to wrap up his finger.
That's the best.
On an open wound that you're trying to keep from getting infected.
Yeah, you never heard him rub some dirt on it?
I guess, but so I say, hey, you should probably use these paper towels instead of
these
that nasty. Yeah. So I'm doing that, and he's, before I call the emergency room, right? And he's all right? He's got a deep cut, but he's like, yeah, it's all right. I'll be fine. And so he hangs out for like another hour. And then he says, all right, guys, I'm gonna go see Janet, and we'll go check out this finger, see how bad it is or something. So he leaves, and we call him a little while later, and my dad's, hey, want to check on the finger? What's going on? And like I said, he cut it with a saw. It's pretty bad, right? It
Not
was
good.
a lot of blood.
Yeah.
But he's at lunch. He's like, yeah, we're going to go to the urgent care thing, but we stopped, got some lunch first.
He's
I said,
diabetic. He leaked all of his blood out.
well, I didn't even think that he's diabetic
You
first.
know?
I was thinking, like,
all of his sugar left his body.
I'm thinking, how bad can it be if he stopped for lunch first?
Come on.
But then I remember
priorities.
the diabetic thing. It actually
Like,
is.
what would you rather do? Sit in the emergency room full or hungry?
Full.
Yeah,
and
that's
they're going to take a while.
Yeah, for
they
sure.
always take
So you
longer
might as
than
well
they should.
eat.
And because of his sugar levels, it was actually important.
And then they bring you food. It's some gross hospital food.
Oh, you don't want that.
You don't want that. Might as well stop and get some steak.
But he probably stopped at like Luby's or some trash place.
Which right? Sound like he made a good decision.
You know what it is.
I mean, come on.
Anyway.
Probably
But
got
yeah,
that
so
Lou
he ended
in,
up
you
getting
know?
a couple stitches in his finger. I think he's all right.
But the funny part about it was when he told me is he went to like 2 or 3 different places because he wanted them to tell him if he needed stitches or not, but he didn't want to pay the $200 copay. And they wouldn't tell him if he needed stitches until he paid the copay.
That's funny.
And he was just like, nah, I'm not giving you $200 just for you to tell me I don't need stitches.
Yeah.
So he like went to another place, and then finally he was just like, okay, I think I need stitches.
I should probably get stitches.
Let me give you $200, and then he gave him a stack of papers. He's like, I need to fill out these stack of papers so you can take my $200 just to tell me if I need stitches or not. And they're like, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yep,
So-
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds like him.
Coupon.
I got that in my blood too. That was the main reason my shoulder stayed messed up for as long as it was.
Money.
Because, well, yes and no. It was money, but also just like I hated that whole system.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was because when I dislocated it, I went and got it fixed. And then you got to wear a sling for like a month. And then I go to, I don't know what they're called, but some kind of rehab doctor. And so I go to him, and he's supposed to check on it and then, tell you what you're doing, what to do next, basically.
Right.
And he made me wait for like 3 hours past my appointment, which happens all the time. But it was still annoying.
He's just back there like
Dude, yeah, he comes
chilling
in
with the nurses.
He
and
comes
stuff.
in, he's like making stupid jokes. He
Yeah.
doesn't do anything. I've waited for like 3 hours. He just tells me nothing, basically. He makes me get another sling, which is the exact same as the one I have. He's like, this one's better. Trust me. You're going to want this sling.
Yeah.
And then they charged me for it, too. Like, it was like $40 for this sling that I didn't need. And he was just
part of the game.
And he didn't do anything. He goes, yeah, it looks like you still need to
like-
heal up. So just come back, see me a couple weeks from now. We'll see how it is. And
It's
I
like
said,
going through
what?
the drive-through line, and it's just like, hey, we need to supersize that.
Basically, not even. It was more like, hey, you've got some fries. Why don't you give me those fries and buy these fries?
Yeah.
It was more like that. And so yeah, that cost me like $250 for him to be like, yeah, go rest some
Come back
more.
and give me $250 more in
But
3
he didn't do
months.
anything. It was all just, yeah, go rest. I was like, well, I can rest on my own.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. But really so if I had kept going, what probably would have happened is eventually he would have been like, okay, now we got to get some strength back in that area. And we would have done some like rotator cuff workouts and stuff.
Nothing.
But that's what would have happened. But I just never went back. I said, well, I can rest on my own without giving you $250 every week and having you
So how's the shoulder now?
Well, now it's okay, but for like a few years it was jacked up because I was just resting it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I never fixed
Strengthened it.
this muscle here.
okay.
I never did that. So I would do like basic stuff, but I couldn't quite lift it over my head all the way.
No, look at
I
you.
can do it now. I still can't really
Traps
hang.
are looking good.
Oh,
Stop.
these are your traps.
Stop. We got people on camera now.
Cameras. But yeah, it was messed up for forever because I didn't realize you had to actually like rehab it. I thought all you had to do was rest because that's what the dude told me when he was just taking my money.
Just chill.
$250.
If he would have came back, he would have told you to rehab.
Yeah, if I kept going, he would eventually been like, all right, here's some
Like
exercise.
$750 later.
Yeah, it would have been like 1,000
Yeah.
plus.
And then he would give you like some other fancy contraptions. It's like, oh yeah, you really need this one.
Yeah, I was so mad about the sling. It was the same sling. He charged me like $40 for it.
On other news, I got a really good lawn care company that's doing my lawn now.
Do you really? Because those are hard to find.
It is. They're expensive.
Let's hear the price. Let's hear this rich guy price.
Now, my old guy was charging me $35 a week.
That's not bad.
Not bad. And I got a decent sized lawn. This guy, I said, hey, come check this out. And he said $60 a week.
A week?
60? I said 60?
Took your breath away.
And I was just like, my other guy is 35. He says, look at your yard. I was just like, okay.
Was it better?
I mean, I couldn't say anything. My yard looked like crap. And this guy was taking care of it, you know? And I said, he's charging me 35, and he was just like, okay, but look at your yard, and in his broken English,
Yeah. Look.
Don't do it. He says, okay, 50, and I was just like, okay, I'll give you a chance. I came back, and man, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
This guy did a good. Well, the first 2 times so far, he's done a good job.
$50.
$50 though.
A week.
A week.
The week's the tough part.
Yeah, that's $60 more a month than the other guy.
Yeah. But look at your yard.
But my yard looks good, and he shows up on time every time. The other guy was a local young kid trying to get his business started.
Yeah.
And I went away from a good lawn guy, to try to, because I know how it is to try to build a business, so I was trying to stay local, give it to the young kid in the area, all those. And then, it's just one of those things. It was just like sometimes maybe the party was more important than the payment. So,
Yeah.
But this guy does a good job. I came home and I was just like, yeah, this is what I like coming home to. Nice.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, it
like when
does.
I cut the grass and it looks good and I come home to that, I feel so much better than when I come home and I go, man, I got to cut the grass.
You know what feels better is when you come home and the grass is cut
And you didn't do it.
For me, that is the most satisfying thing.
I get it.
Is you come home and you're like, oh man, this looks good.
And you didn't do any of it.
Yeah. What'd be even better if I came home and both of my kids are out there working in the yard sweating.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it looked terrible, no.
No, you want it to look
I
good.
want it to look good.
Yeah.
That's why they don't do it.
Yeah.
Everybody was just like, you got 2 kids, you need to have them out there.
That's true. Why are they not doing it?
Because they don't do a good job.
Well, that's why they're not doing a good job.
Well,
Because they know, you never did that as a kid?
Oh,
Just like,
I
don't know.
I had a lawn business when I was their age. I had 30 lawns that I did every week.
Oh.
I've been doing this since I was 12
So
years
you just
old.
don't know that they're scamming you. You don't know that they're like, oh, Dad, I'm not good at it.
I do.
I
But
guess I can't do these chores.
I do, but Luke works.
Yeah.
He does. He really does. Luke he's really stepped up the last few months. He works for me in the summer for free.
Oh.
He doesn't. Well, I
Good
say
for you, man.
I say for free,
Okay.
but it pays for his gas money, his insurance, all for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So through the summer, he works.
So it's
for
not
me.
for free.
It's not for free.
I'm going to take those back. I'll just give you some crickets instead.
But he doesn't complain because
Yeah.
he knows, whenever he wants to go do something, there's money in his little cash card or whatever, and he drives a nice car and everything's paid for. But then he came to me, he was just like, but I want some spending money of my own.
Yeah.
Because now, when he wants to go somewhere, I'm like, where you going? How much you spending? Because it's my money,
That's right.
right? So he wanted a little freedom with his own money. So I hired him to do my inventory for my business. Like, okay, you're going to be in charge of making sure inventory's here. We have enough. We're not running out, putting it up,
Yeah.
And so we bought this little inventory app where he gets to run reports and different things. So I try to give my kids stuff that they can not only make some money on, but also that will teach them something that they can use in life down the road, because an inventory manager can make $100,000 and something a year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did before.
Or he can work at Chick-fil-A and
or manage
not make the money that he's supposed to.
Yeah. Whatever. But you know what? Adam worked for Chick-fil-A for a bunch of years, and it got him through college.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, same.
You know, and y'all had a good time doing what you made a little decent money, you know, and it got you through.
I mean, it wasn't good, but it paid for my classes and my books, you know. But I was living at home.
You was living at home.
If I wasn't living at home, that wouldn't have worked.
So, but it got you there.
It got me
and
there,
I think
and I was thankful for it. It worked with my schedule and all that stuff.
So I'm thankful for Chick-fil-A because it gave Adam and Victoria some valuable life experience, you know, but also, you know, I pay him a little bit and he does the stuff that, you know, I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Noah.
But he just can't cut the grass. What's wrong with it? Why can't he cut the grass?
Well, first of all, I would have
Luke,
to buy.
what's your problem?
I would have to buy a lawnmower.
Oh my gosh, that's why he's doing a bad job. You got him out there with scissors or something, and you're just like, just doesn't look very good, Luke.
Well, no, I've tried this with the other boys, so I've always had a lawn guy because they never did it. I mean, I used to have a lawnmower and all that stuff, and they would just do a crappy job. So I would just like,
you got punked, man. You got played.
the other thing that
They
was
played
like
you.
one of the final things. They were out there weed eating, and I don't know what they did, but they threw a rock and it busted my neighbor's truck window out.
So you said they were a liability.
Yes. So I'm just like, now I'm in the neighbors just like, who did this? I'm just like, well, I mean, I'm not going to just admit to it, but at the same time, you know, it's probably one of my kids.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay. So I sold my lawnmower, and I was just like,
I can't be paying for windows every week.
now it's the lawn people's issue, you know? They bust the window. It's not me.
Noah is, how old is Noah?
Now, Noah's 10.
Okay, that's the perfect age for
Now,
learning
Noah
to cut the grass.
Is spoiled to the core.
Yeah, okay.
Noah doesn't. Adam, Joshua, Kelby, they know what broke was. You know, they know, like, man, we might not have enough money to go to Taco Bell after church type buddy, you know? Luke kind of came in on the end of that, but, you know, mom and dad's career started taking off. So he kind of know, you know, we have to watch our pennies, but, you know, we have vacation money and different things like that. Noah don't know nothing but...
Noah's just like, when are we going to Hawaii?
Yeah,
when
exactly.
Are we going
You're just like, are we going snow skiing this week? You know, like, and then all of his little friends, you know, we live where we live, so all of his little friends are,
Oh, yeah.
they're rich too.
Yeah.
So he comes home and would just say, hey, Dad, look what my friend gave me. $100 pair of batting gloves
Yeah.
because he got a new pair.
Yeah. That was nice of the friend.
Yeah. I'm just like, this is why he is the way he is.
So he should be cutting the grass, learn a little of that.
Yeah, I need
you know?
to, and he's a messy kid, so he spends all of his time just cleaning up his own mess.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry, hey, I don't want to ruin this for you, Noah. I'm sorry.
I agree. I agree, but he ain't got no other time but clean his own mess up because he's so messy.
That's what he's been telling you? Dad, I'd love to cut the grass, but I just don't have time.
No, actually,
look at my messy room. I got to clean this.
Actually,
Dad.
both of them have begged me to mow the grass for money.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
they
for
have.
money.
For money.
Okay.
Yeah. Noah wants to be a car washer when he grows up, I think.
Okay.
Because he's trying to go around to all the neighbors and wash their car, you know.
Hey.
But
You got to hustle.
they got to pay somebody else after they pay him because it's terrible. It's like streaked up. It looked like a 10-year-old did it, you know?
Yeah. I had a kid come to my door the other day. It was a couple months ago. And he's just like, hey, you got any chores or any yard work or something I can do? And I think I had just cut the grass. And I was just like, no. Sorry. I got nothing.
I normally try to find something for those kids because they're outside. They trying, you know.
Yeah.
They're not inside watching
If I hadn't
videos.
just cut the grass, I'd be like, you can cut the grass. Can you do that?
Yeah.
But
I
told
probably
him
wouldn't
no.
let them cut my grass either.
I'd have let him. I don't care.
No.
I ain't got some fancy yard.
I would have went
I
out
just
there and
needed...
like threw a bunch of marbles on the ground and said, hey, yeah, go pick up those or something.
No, I ain't do that. And then I had a different kid come like a month later, and they were just selling chocolate. And I said, okay, I'll buy a chocolate bar.
Oh, that's a good hustle.
I did. Oh, yeah, man. But this was, you know, it was that fancy world's finest, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That all the
You know
Little
what's
League
good?
things do.
Sandra bought me some chocolate-covered almonds
Those are good.
from Buc-ee's.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started eating them, then now I have to give myself 3 a day because I'll eat I got a problem, man.
The problem is you have chocolate covered almonds in the house.
I have a problem.
If I got chocolate covered almonds in the house, I'm gonna eat the chocolate covered almonds.
You know, I have a problem with sugar because they will tell me, where'd all the cookies go? I'm like, I only had 3 at a time.
You're like, well, I could only have 3 chocolate covered almonds. What do you think I'm gonna eat? I gotta eat. Somebody gotta eat.
Well, they're like, the problem is just like, come on. Like, listen. If you're not going to eat them, I'm going to eat them.
You're gonna eat them. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Don't expect them to be in there for 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. Your problem isn't like, oh man, I'm just crazy. I like sugar. It's you've got all the sweets just in the house. If they're there, you're gonna eat them. I'm gonna eat them.
But that's the problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem. And we buy them for our kids, and I never had.
Why are you giving them chocolate? They can't even cut the grass.
I never had that stuff growing up. I would go to my cousin's house, and I would be like,
Oh yeah.
oh
yeah.
You open the pantry and all this stuff, just like all the stuff from the commercials you have
Yeah.
ever seen. You're like, oh.
My thing was it was
tricks
all
are for kids.
Yeah, it was all name brand stuff.
Oh
when you go to the,
yes,
the
we
friend's
had the
house.
cereal in the bag.
Yeah, dude, you had the. Yeah. I had them marshmallow treasures. I didn't have Lucky Charms.
No.
I had like honey toasted oats. I didn't have honey nut Cheerios.
Or the ones that the
What did you have?
we had the frosted shredded
Yeah,
wheat.
frosted.
No, we didn't have the frosted. We just had the
You
shredded
just had
wheat.
shredded wheats in the big bag. Yeah, they were
You had to-
horrible.
You had to add some sprinkled sugar to it so
Dude.
that'd be sweet.
the worst. Dude,
Or no honey on the Cheerios.
Yeah, just Cheerios.
Yes.
But,
But
they
the-
weren't. They
but
weren't
what
even
the
called
real ones-
Cheerios. Yeah, they were the worst. I was the maddest I ever got at cereals was. Yeah, that's a sentence there. I just said the maddest I ever got at cereals. I remember this to this day. Is I went to get I was looking in the pantry, and I was probably like 14, and I saw Captain Crunch. Because sometimes we'd get the name, sometimes there's a sale.
Yeah.
Buy 2 for 4 or something. And so I saw Captain Crunch and I went, oh, Captain Crunch, that's great. And then I pull the box out so I could see the whole thing. And on the box, it says, oops, all berries. Oh. That's the name of the cereal. So some dumb idiot was like, hey, you know what people love the most about Captain Crunch?
the
is the
berries.
berries. So we just have all berries.
Nobody likes the berries.
The worst.
Yes.
The berries are fine if it's a sprinkle in here or there.
Yeah, so you can pick them out.
But I remember I was like, oh, Captain Crunch sounds good. And I got it, and it said, oops, all berries, like it was mocking me. And I was so mad. I said, nobody wants all berries. And I threw it away.
This is the problem. When people start mixing things together, it's because they're running out of ideas. So like, why don't we take some berries and mix them with Captain Crunch?
Oh, yeah.
Or why don't we take vanilla ice cream and add something to it? No, you liked it because it was vanilla.
Yeah, it's true.
You liked it because it was Captain Crunch. Quit ruining it and
They
putting stuff
ruined
together.
it.
Now you got some kind of all this crazy name. I went into the bluebell aisle the other day, and it was just like these long words that nobody could even pronounce it. And it's ice cream. Yeah. Just give me vanilla.
Yeah.
Just give me chocolate.
I like the chocolate.
Well, you can do the great divide, the half chocolate, half vanilla, but it's not mixed.
Great.
50-50.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, they didn't keep selling oops all berries. I saw it.
Oops, no more berries.
I saw it at Food Town at some point, and it was on a crazy sale. Like 3 for $3 or something.
Hey, do you watch the Fast series?
The like Fast and Furious?
Yeah.
No, I saw like 1 or 2 movies.
So
it's too much.
Fast 10 just came out.
Yeah.
I don't watch movies.
Yeah, but you're gonna watch that horrible,
I watched every one of them.
and you loved it.
I loved it.
Loved it.
But hey,
Loved it.
spoiler alert. Give everybody you just for the next minute or so. Just
He's gonna ruin an already terrible movie.
I'm gonna ruin it for you. So just turn it down if you don't want to hear it. But here I go.
Yeah, here you go.
They all die at the end.
All of them. Well, it's about time. They've been just.
Well, they don't.
They've been jumping out of helicopters and driving cars off of cliffs and stuff. It's about time they
It
died.
doesn't show them dying, but it makes it look like.
Oh, well, then they didn't die. Because they got to make Fast 11.
But 10 is like. This would be the perfect opportunity to kill them all off.
They had the best opportunity after like 2.
But now the Rock's coming in at the very. If you watch through the credits, it's the Rock.
You sound like some kid who just watched a Marvel movie. And is like, oh, but you go after the credits.
I don't. If it's the Rock with what's the dude, the bald head dude's name?
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. If it's not Vin Diesel, because listen, it's all about family.
Yeah.
So the whole story is about Vin Diesel keeping his family together, and we're gonna fight for family no matter what, right or wrong.
That's right.
Family.
Yeah.
But if he's not there and it's The Rock just flexing all the time, I mean, I'm not into 11.
The Rock just flexing.
Him and the other.
Hey, families aren't there forever. Family's not forever.
family is forever.
It's not though.
It's legacy.
People move on. People move out of town.
Yeah,
Families come around on holidays. Eventually, grandma dies. Vin Diesel's
Vin
gonna
Diesel
die.
and his kid. Okay, if you're back, just one more second. Vin Diesel and his kid died together, bro.
Yeah.
Or not.
Did they?
Or not.
Wait, he killed his kid? He took his kid with him?
Yeah, in the show.
Wow.
Because
There's some family for you.
He was teaching his kid to be like the ultimate driver, right?
Yeah.
And
then they died.
At the end, you know who's the uncle now?
No, I don't know anything about him.
What is the? There was a wrestler, one of the popular.
Hulk Hogan?
Nah.
That would have been sweet. Uncle Hulk.
Nah. I don't know the wrestler's name, but he was one of the popular dudes.
The guy that always wears the robes, like the fancy schmancy ones.
No.
Ric Flair? Is it Ric Flair?
That's the newer than that.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't remember his name, but he's one of the handsome guys, But
They're all pretty handsome.
Yeah, but he came in, he saved the day, and then they got together and they all died together. I mean, maybe.
It's just.
I mean, they did leave it on the cliffhanger.
I just can't. They're just those movies are just too ridiculous.
Now after 9, I was just like too much.
You are the reason that these movies exist because it took you 9 movies to go
See, the
too much.
CGI was off the chain, bro.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie was CGI. Every once in a while, Vin Diesel come in, family, and then it was just, and then it would go back to CGI. These big monster trucks like jumping off of cliffs and landing 2 mountain ranges over and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I was just like, if that's what it's going to be, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then 10, they got back to family.
They
got back to family.
So I saw the first one back in the day. I don't even remember it, but I remember like it was fine or whatever. Yeah. And I think I saw some of the second one, and then I wasn't watching them. And then Fast 5 came out when I think it was in high school, and a bunch of people wanted to go see it. And I was like, I guess I'll go see it, whatever. And so I went and saw it. And so watching Fast 5, I was like, this is too much, dude.
5 was too much?
I was like, this is... I don't even remember anything. I just remember, everything's exploding, and they're, like, flying in these cars, doing crazy stuff. I was like, this is just...
Hey, they went to the outer
That's
space in 9. In 9, they went to outer space.
So I came in at 5. I didn't even see 3 and 4. And at 5, I was like, this is way too much. And you went till 9 before you're like, I don't know. He drops that
outer space.
In space, I don't know. Car. It took you till 9 before you said, this might be a bit much. And then here came Vin Diesel, who's like, yo, but family. And you're like, I like family.
You got me. Put me back in. It's just, it's kind of like golf.
Is it?
Yes.
All right, guys.
It's just like
David's going to talk about how Fast and Furious is like golf. Go.
So golf, it's got 18 holes, right?
Let's get you on your own camera here.
Let me talk to you.
Yep. Tell us about the golf.
Golf is like, let me bring this up.
Yeah, tell us about golf.
Golf, you have 18 holes of golf.
Yeah, do you?
You can have 17 horrific holes, but 1. And it brings you back again. That it's just like Fast and the Furious.
Is it? They were mostly they were mostly horrible.
So I'm saying, one scene about family and them sitting around praying together,
And then you're just in again.
Brings me back to a 10. And I'm pretty sure if I say I'll never go back to 11, you'll see me in the...
You'll be at 11. You're committed. But this is the problem.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. That's what the same thing I said with the Marvel movies. Is
Oh,
I saw the
that
first
reminds me.
handful of them.
I need to pay for my ticket. Forgot to give him money for my ticket. Oh, man.
But that's the thing. I watched the first
It's the
handful
best
of
movie
them.
I ever watched.
Which
The free one?
Which one?
The free one.
No, just any frequency in general. But yeah, you watch like 9 of them.
You got to. You
and
got to
you're like,
keep going.
I guess I got to keep watching the story, and they just keep getting worse and worse. And you're like,
now Adam's father-in-law watches them too, right? So now it's a thing that me and him kind of like we go together.
Yeah,
we bond and we do.
I've pretty much tapped out on them. I've been like, you know what, guys?
So what is the movie that you keep going back to that are not good, like Star Wars?
No, I pretty much tapped out on those
are not
too.
Good.
All of them are not good. I'm not even gonna start this because this will get too.
I mean,
he's just trying to do a thing. He's trying to do. I know what he's doing.
Superhero movies.
Most of them these days are not that good. No.
The last superhero movie I slept through.
Yeah.
What was the one?
Which one was
the girl one?
The Captain Marvel.
Is that what she was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's, I don't know. There's a few girls.
No, the whole movie was about her.
Yeah, there's a few of those.
Yeah, terrible.
It's probably that one because that one was.
I mean, I don't even know if it was terrible, but I was asleep. And it had all the noises, you know.
Yeah.
The whole surround sound.
Yeah. You were the surround sound. I don't know what my movie is that I just. I'm pretty good about being like, no, this is a horrible movie, and not just continuing to watch it.
Yeah.
But the Marvel ones, I still kind of will a little bit. Like I saw the new Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was pretty good.
Terrible.
It was pretty good.
Come on. It was pretty good because you're invested. If I wouldn't watch
No,
it,
because I
this
didn't
is
watch.
The most terrible movie ever.
No, this one.
If I would have missed the last 5 and watched this one, I'd be just like, oh my gosh, how much CGI?
So I missed the last like 4 movies or so because, like I said, I was just like, they're not going to be good.
This is
like,
not Superman 1.
Yeah, they're not that good. But I did watch this when everybody's like, oh, it's really good. Because this is what happened for a while there. A few years ago, this is when it started. Well, first, when the Marvel movies come out, everybody be like, oh my gosh, the new whatever movie's coming out, it's going to be amazing. And then they go watch it, and they come back, and you say, how was the movie? And they say, oh, it was awesome.
That's just because they dressed up for it.
Well, that was the first
they
few
were in
years.
costume. So what,
then the
what
last
are they supposed
few years,
to say? They dressed up for it.
No, they really had a good time. But then those same people, the last few years, they'd say, oh my gosh, the new movie's coming out. It's going to be so great. And they go watch it, and you say, hey, how was the movie? And they go, it was all right. And that's
because they didn't have their cape that time.
I don't know. But that was the new trend. Used to, it was like the expectation was way up here. They'd go watch it, and it met or exceeded expectations. And then for the last few years, the expectation was still pretty high because before they had high expectations and they were met. And they see a cool trailer, and the expectations are high, and they go and they would be like, yeah, I mean, it was okay. And that was just like more and more of that.
Yeah.
And I just finally got to where I was like, I'm not gonna keep going to these movies that are like just really, really average.
Because the storyline's always the same.
And they're
just
always
changes
similar.
Character.
And then it's always
It's
a
like a Lifetime
cliffhanger.
movie.
And nothing ever gets wrapped up. I hate when the storylines don't get wrapped up. We talked about this with Scooby-Doo. I love that.
Yeah.
Always wrap up that story.
Yeah, it's like Lifetime. You go small town, fall in love.
Yeah.
The debate is, do I go back to the big city?
There's
Do
always
I
a
stay?
holiday involved. At some point, it's
Holiday.
Christmas or Thanksgiving.
It's always, some chick under some tree and it's snowing somewhere and she's falling in love with this, Johnny Lover.
But at least, they know, like, hey, that's our thing. That's what we're doing.
We're going to build a whole channel off of it.
And everybody that's going and watching those, that's what they're expecting.
We're going to have
That's
the
what they
same
get.
actor and actress in every single one of them.
But, well, it'll be slightly different. It'll be a different person playing the same role.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay. I thought that was
It's a different, it's a different, this one's not Ashley, this one's Brittany, but it's the same thing.
Y'all have dancer names.
Oh, is that what they are? I have a cousin named Brittany. She don't dance too much anymore.
She probably the Holy Ghost dance.
She got bad She got a bad ankle. I think she's got a bad. No, she's got a bad elbow. I feel like she's got a bad back.
Jeff Hall.
Whoa!
Whoa! Wow,
Jeez.
man, turn that down. Jeff Hall, relax, baby.
We got all of David's stuff hooked up. So
Yeah.
All right, we should probably go into something here. Let's go into Culture Corner. You ready?
Let's go into culture. Culture Corner.
Here we go.
What you got for us?
Okay.
Hey, show me the toe.
Hey guys, I don't know if you're noticing this right now, but you can see
What?
the article on the screen right now.
Wow.
Is that not amazing?
That's pretty cool. We're cool, man.
Yeah, guys,
Are we lagging? We're good,
No,
right,
we're
man?
good.
Oh man, this is gonna be the best episode ever.
It's our first one back, kind of, sort of.
We'll see.
All right, so here's the story.
All right, tell me the story.
And Adam told me this story over the weekend, which is why. So actually, I don't even know how old this actually is. What does that say? Oh, this is from March. March, April,
3
May,
months.
June. So it's a few months.
I mean, it's old for news these days, but
Well, here's the thing.
It's a good story.
So I'll just summarize it real quick. Show me the toe. Row erupts over megachurch pastor who claims to have regrown amputee's toe through prayer.
okay.
So here's the story that Adam told me. Instead of like reading this entire thing, I shouldn't have.
Yeah, because Adam's probably way more accurate than this.
Yeah, it's probably way more accurate than the paper. But so he said, so there's this church. Some pastor is preaching at the church, and he says something like,
Hey, by the way, there is a whole website.
"Oh, I'm gonna show him."
Okay,
I'm gonna get in there.
Okay, let's get there.
So, pastor tells the church in this service, he says something along the lines of, "Hey, God told me that we're gonna do some miracles tonight, and I'm talking about like regrowing something. I don't know exactly what that means, but if you're here, you know who you are. Come get some prayer." And so eventually, this lady goes down who's missing a toe, and does it say in this article? Let's see. Last prayed. Does it say? Okay, I don't know if it says.
They saw the bone come. What does it say? Wrapped in flesh by the morning.
Well, wait. So I don't think it says this part in here, but so Adam told me.
The toenail formed.
Well, wait. We gotta
Oh,
get.
I'm sorry.
You're jumping ahead.
No, yeah.
We gotta find out why she didn't have a toe first.
Oh, okay.
So this is why. So Adam told me her ex.
It was amputated in 2015.
When her husband broke into her home, and shot her multiple times in an attack. That also. Oh, I didn't hear that part. That also claimed the life of her friend.
Wow.
So she gets in something. It's like her ex-husband gets in
There
some
was
fight.
a song back in the day by the Ghetto Boys that says, "Why you shot me in the eye? I would have shot you in the body." Anyways, sorry.
Thanks for that, dude. So this dude shoots her toe off. So I guess he's a horrible shot. But apparently, he killed the friend. Anyway, so she's missing a toe because she got shot off by this dude. And so she goes down for prayer, and apparently the toe grows back. The claims were, let's see, they saw the bone come wrapped in the flesh, and by morning the toenails, everything had formed, and she had 3 brand new toes. So
he looks like an honest dude, to tell you the truth.
Well, so this is where it gets weird. So there was only like 3 people that saw the toe. There's the lady, there's the pastor dude, I think. Let's see, does it say it in here? Oh, we're gonna have to read the whole thing. Well, okay, so there was only like 3 people that saw the toe.
The toe or no toe?
The new toe.
Okay.
Toes. And there was a lady that was praying for her, and then the pastor and like one other person that was praying. And the next day they tell her like, "Hey, you should go to the doctor, get it checked out, see what they say," right? So they go. So that one of the ladies that was praying for her husband is some kind of doctor. So they go to him, and they don't tell him what's up. They're like, "Hey, can you take an X-ray of this foot? Tell us what it looks like."
I know how what happened right here.
Well, so they take the X-ray.
They go to the doctor and they would just like, "This little piggy went to the market."
No, he didn't. Do that. He didn't do the
This
piggy.
little piggy grew back.
No, that's not what happened. But so they go to the doctor. He takes the X-ray, And he says, everything looks cool. I don't know what y'all are looking for, but this looks good.
This piggy's good.
All these piggies, all the piggies are good. And so, but then everybody, so that gets out, right? So they're like, she came down, she got prayed for, she grew some toes. They took her to the doctor. He says, yeah, the foot looks good. Like without knowing.
Which, do we know what toe it was? Was it like a big toe
Said,
or a little
it said
piggy toe?
3 of them. I think it was the middle ones.
The ones that's normally longer, you have a longer toe than the middle toe?
Oh yeah, that's my
Your big toe's your middle one?
the like pointer toe,
Yeah.
I guess you'd call it.
Just like constantly
It's
flipping
slightly.
people off.
Yeah, just letting them know. But so this is where it gets controversial. She claims she had all these toes grow back. They show they got an X-ray and said it was good, but she won't show anybody the toes. Everybody's like, well, let's see these toes that God just made grow back, and she won't show anybody the toes. And everybody's like, well, why won't you just show us the toes? And so now it's the whole thing because supposedly like 3 people saw the toes. And so that is when, let's go back over here.
So where are these people at?
So here we go. Let me pull this one up. Oh, no, not that one.
That one right there.
Oh,
that
wait,
one.
I
That's
gotta
it
go
right
back
there.
here and then go back. I remember. Sorry, y'all. We're pretty professional here.
I mean,
So some people took it upon themselves. They made a website called
What?
Show Me the Toes.
.com, baby.
So you can
they
go
even
there right
got
now.
the .com.
And so it's all these like scriptures and stuff talking about so like God performed creative miracle oh wait, no, this is talking about her thing. Where'd it go, dude? Anyway.
Hey, email us at proof
Yeah. It's like
at
all these people.
showmethetoes.com.
And there's I think you can go back.
Her
up here.
injuries included 3 toes.
Here we go.
All right.
Did you attend? You can click on there. You can go home. You can go to these news articles about it. You can check out stuff about the church staff. So they got like all the info you'd want about the story. Here,
This was
show
one
me
day
the
ago.
toe.
This was one day ago.
Yeah, they're still like, please, lady, show us the toe. And they have this. Here's the scriptures. Luke 17:14. When he saw them, he said to them, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." And they.
That was exactly the scripture I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she ain't going.
She ain't showing anybody. So it's a little. It's a little
And
weird.
so did you attend? Is it just a form to fill out or what?
I think you can
Call
for
for
proof.
proof.
If you attended the Week of Power and were a witness to Christy Thompson's claimed miracle, please email us here. So yeah, so if you saw it, you can send them an email and be like, I saw it.
Now,
Truth seek.
I'm never been really a foot guy, but
I kind of find that hard to believe.
I kind of want to see the toes.
I want to see the toe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see the toe?
Or no toe.
Or no, but this thing. So there's no way she's got a toe, because why wouldn't she just show you?
Oh, she don't think she has a toe.
No, I don't think she's got the toes. But then I'm thinking, well, why? Like,
Why would they do that?
yeah, what are you doing?
Maybe she just wanted a miracle so bad.
I don't know.
Because there's people like that want it so bad that they convince themselves.
But supposedly, a few people saw. But also part of the weirdness is, like I said, the doctor that they went to was one of the lady's husbands. So there's kind of like a tie there.
So I watched this movie called Two Guns.
Oh yeah.
It was
Denzel.
yeah.
And
With the Marky Mark. And the
yeah.
Funky Munch.
Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
Wahlberger.
This is the problem, because when Denzel got shot, he went to a veterinarian. So I wonder if she went to a veterinarian instead.
I think she just got confused.
Yeah.
Just sitting there in the
She
waiting
was
room
just
with a bunch of puppies.
She was just like, I'm not going to
Like, what
James'
you in
doctor. He
for?
made me wait for 3 hours,
Yeah.
$250.
And this
I just
said-
go to my dog's doctor. And he was just like, yeah, most dogs only have 3 paws anyways. 3 little pads.
It's
Looks
probably
good to
what
me.
it was. He said,
Looks good to me.
he said, yeah, this is the best. This
the
ball
best-
looks good.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was.
I'm telling you, bro. I should be an investigator. I got this stuff, bro.
I don't know.
They got websites and everything. They couldn't figure it out. I figured it out in five minutes.
You did. You did indeed.
He's like, man, this is the best paw I've seen in years.
Just ridiculous. So that's my story, dude. Apparently, there's toes being grown, and not being shown.
All right. Well, before we start rapping, let's just jump into the song we got for you today.
Here we go. Let's go.
This song is Still Greater.
Tell us about
Greater
the song.
Still.
Tell us.
Brendan Lake's range is unbelievable.
He's everywhere these days.
Yeah.
He's on all the Christian music.
One thing I did notice about, I have never seen this particular version of this song.
Yeah.
And you're a guy that uses lots of technology in music.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're a drummer.
That's true.
This guy, he goes so simple on his little drum setup, but extravagant at the same time.
It works.
He had two different kind of soft, what do you call those things? Stick thingy, whispers.
Whispers. I don't know what the technical term would be, but yeah. They're like brushes.
Brushes. They're brushes. Yeah. He had like one organic brush and then one plastic brush.
Yeah.
But he wanted to go digital, but couldn't leave the snare at home.
Yeah. I didn't even see him use the digital stuff. I don't know if maybe they were going to use that for like a different song, or maybe it comes in later.
Yeah. Probably the song gets bigger later, so he probably uses it.
Yeah. I mean, all I heard was the snare and the kick.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of simple stuff if it works.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting how musicians they'll get real. They'll want to keep it simple, but then they'll get real inventive about how they go about making their music, which is cool.
I've been on all sides of it.
Yeah, it makes music interesting.
Yeah,
and that's what's good about music is it's all about your taste and how you want to come out with the sound that you want to come out with. And people do it all over the world and bring out all this great music, and I love it.
I think I told you I was changing my live setup for the bin stuff.
We haven't talked about it here.
I don't know. I got a different piece of gear.
Yeah.
So before the setup was Ben he would play guitar, sing some, and on a few songs he'd like loop a bass line or something, but he's mostly guitar. And then I had 3 or 4 synthesizers, a drum machine, a mixer for all of it, a bunch of pedals for all those different things, and then like a looper, and then I was singing too. I had a bunch of stuff, and so I simplified it. I got a different piece of gear.
What'd you get?
I got an MPC 1.
The old school one, like
it's like a newer one. But it's still like an Akai MPC, but it's like a newer version. It's got a touch screen and stuff.
Yeah, I bought Luke one of those for Christmas, and he never used it.
The MPC 1?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, if I'd known that, I would have just bought it from him.
Yeah, I didn't know you was looking. I know you said you was looking for equipment. I didn't know that's what you was looking for.
That's what I got. Well, anyway, whatever. I got a new one, and it's all mine. But so now, instead of me having 3 or 4 synths, effects pedals for all of those, a mixer and a looper and all that, now I've just got the one piece of gear, the MPC. I've got one synthesizer and some pedals for that one thing. And so and then I'm going to have actual drums now, which used to bring in drums always felt like so much work because it was like, I got to bring all these different pieces. But now, like, compared to what I was doing with all the cables and everything, bringing regular drums feels like nothing.
Right.
Like, it doesn't even feel like... Anyway,
they're just big and bulky.
Yeah, they're just big and annoying.
Yeah.
They take a lot of space. So now depending on the song, and some songs I'll do both. I'll either be playing drums and singing some, or controlling some patterns and stuff and playing some synth lines or whatever. And then some songs I'll kind of do both, depending on the part. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a lot cooler. It's going to be a lot more streamlined, and I think it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited.
So have y'all practiced with it yet?
Yeah, we've done some. It's coming out good.
Are you using any MIDI stuff to like start music on like?
Well, I'm starting it all myself.
Like drum strokes or anything like that?
No, I ain't got that intense with it. But so depending on the song, some songs I'll have a bunch of different patterns that you can make on the MPC, and I'll just kind of like I'll start a pattern, I'll play some stuff somewhere, and I'll kind of tell it when to go to the different patterns, and sometimes I might like manipulate some stuff on there. Yeah. So it's playing a pattern, and then I tell it when to change, and I'll change parameters and stuff. So you're still like playing it. And then some other songs I kind of did where you could turn it into song mode, where you just make a bunch of patterns and then you just tell it to play this pattern this many times, then to do this one next. So all you gotta do is hit play; it'll play the whole thing. So on a few of them, I'm doing that because the parts that I am playing are so like I'm using all my limbs and stuff to where I don't have time to like tell it to switch patterns or whatever. And so there's a few of those where I'm kind of hitting play and then I'm doing all this other stuff. But I'm really happy with what's coming
cool.
out.
When's the next show?
Next show's in July.
Mid-July,
I think, if I remember right.
You know where it's at?
It's at Last Concert Cafe. There's a few. This band called Gravity Kings hit us up a while back and was like, hey, will you play the show with us? And then they got a couple other Houston bands to play on it. I'm pretty excited about the show. I think it's going to be cool. But it's like legit.
The
Gravity Kings is what
and they're kind of a bigger touring band?
No, they're a Houston band.
Okay.
But they've been playing a bunch in Houston. And they're like a kind of funk, soul, groovy kind of band. Like that kind of
Oh, yeah, y'all fit right
vibe.
in on that.
Will work. And I'm excited about it, though. It should be really cool. But it's like a legit, it's a legit venue. Last Concert Cafe is a smaller one, but, it's a legit venue. Like, whenever we were going over all the details for it, the band sent us the proposal from the venue, which just the fact that, like, they're even sending us a proposal is, like, a thing.
Yeah.
Where they're like, hey, this is how much sound costs, this is how much lights cost, here's all the costs for the whole... to rent out the place, basically. So you got to sell this many tickets to break even. If you sell all these, we can sell this many tickets to the show. You guys would take 90% of it. Like, it's just like all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty excited just to like be a part of a legit thing,
right?
Which is nice.
Hey, there's a documentary out. I think it's on HBO Max I think it's HBO Max. It's Ian Bick.
Ian Bick,
B-I-C-K. And this kid that went to jail for 3 years for this Posse. They got him on a Posse scheme, but I think it was kind of a small town deal, and they just kind of ruined this kid's life. But so he was in high school, and he started throwing these house parties, and he was like really good at it.
Okay.
And so everybody wanted to come to his parties.
Yeah.
Well, then he was just like, okay, his parents were like, okay, enough is enough. Like, you keep lying, tell us, 20 people are going to come, and then 300 people show up. And his dad was like, but his dad was always just like, always said, well, at least I know where he's at. He's at home, he's not out, drinking and driving and all that stuff. So, and he's never a real big drinker or whatever. But his dad, finally, his mom and dad was like, okay, we're not doing this no more.
Yeah.
So he went to this club and was just like, hey, I just want to rent the small room out for the night. We're just going to have this team party or whatever. And, he sold like 500 tickets and made, like 20 grand or something like that. And then he was just like, I can do this, you know? Yeah, so and another company, like a local, like, one of these party room or whatever where you can have like weddings and stuff at or whatever. They hired him at like 15. Hey. Well, and he was just like, how old are you? He was just like, well, I'm 15. I'll be 16 in 3 months. And he was just like, when you're 16, you're working for me. So, and they wanted him to go around and start booking proms from all these different high schools and stuff. Because he said a prom is like, a cheap prom is like 60 grand that they're getting income for, and then he was getting 10% of it. Hey. And so he was like making 40 grand a year in high school just booking proms for this venue. So anyway, so he started doing this, and then he started like trying to book like Wiz Khalifa and these different things. Well, he would get there, and there would always something would happen. Like snow came in and snowed this one out. Well, they already had paid the artist, and it was like a non-refundable deal. So then he would lose some money, but he always had investors, right? Because he couldn't, he was a kid. He couldn't come up with $60,000, $70,000 to pull this off. So he had, kids from school and their parents invest into it. Well, something always happened.
Okay.
You know, he would just like almost get there, but then he would lose a few $1,000s. You know, so and then
Like he would put on the event,
yeah,
but
and
he just wouldn't quite make his
he
money
wouldn't
back.
quite make his money back, and then but he would always tell that the problem was he would always tell his investors, "Oh yeah, we made money."
Oh.
So they would invest in the next one, you know.
Yeah.
So he kept going on, and he would just make excuses. He would pay some of them off, and then they would like reinvest. But then he always had this other little group over there that he was always giving them like, the venues haven't paid me yet, and
Yeah.
so he was trying to stretch it to the next venue so that he would pay them off, and then the next guy, the other group, that he would just like,
That's the Ponzi
that
scheme.
was the Ponzi scheme, and he didn't even know that he was running a Ponzi scheme because
He just got caught up.
He was a kid,
like the Polka King.
yeah, and so this went on and on, and then he ended up like doing these bigger venues, and that's when Wiz Khalifa and all this bigger guys started coming in, and then he got in and over his head, ended up like borrowing money from drug dealers to try to get out from the things that he was, with his friends' parents and his parents.
Yeah.
And so it just got like ugly fast.
Yeah.
And he ended up doing like 3 years in prison over it, and
Fun.
yeah, so now he's got his own podcast. But the documentary was pretty good about how he went.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd watch that one.
Yeah, so Ian Bick, and then he has a podcast, and his podcast is more of kind of like prison type stuff.
Yeah.
People's experience in prison and kind of his story type deal. Like young fat white kid. That's what he says in prison and how his experience and stuff. But yeah, definitely. Pretty cool because it covers a lot of like behind the scenes of what it takes to promote a show.
Yeah, it's a lot, man.
Yeah, it takes a lot, and then a lot of these guys, they're especially when you're in the rap industry, these are gangsters.
Yeah.
They're from the streets. They're trying to do these rap careers, and then they'll blow you off and take your money, and then what are you gonna do? You're this white kid from the suburbs, and this gangster just took your money. What are you doing?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, you're not doing anything. So that kind of burned him one time, and so he had to like set up like secured ways to do monies and different things like that. But yeah, pretty interesting.
It is. Yeah, I think the biggest thing we ever did was because we've just done a lot of stuff ourselves. I think the biggest thing we've ever done was probably that local Palooza thing where I like rented out the pavilion at a park in Pasadena.
Right.
And I got probably a couple hundred or so people to come throughout the day, which was cool.
Yeah.
But I had multiple bands. I had a bunch of different artists, like craft artists. Like I had Tara out there selling ceramics and that kind of stuff. And we had a food truck. So it was like a lot of pieces, and I put the thing together.
Yeah.
So that was kind of crazy, but
yeah, it was difficult. Man. We've done, with the record label and stuff, that we've done some pretty good things. The biggest one I ever done was here when we had a social club come through. We probably had 600-700 people come in.
It gets crazy because when you do something big like that, you have to think of all these things that you didn't ever think of before. Like when I put on that thing, you had to just think about, like, is there a place for people to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Like I threw around some ideas. Maybe we set up a stage here, do something here. But just stuff like that. It's like, if you get 200 people to show up, like, where are they going to pee?
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
then we were dealing with social clubs, so they were kind of on that, the big end of the Christian scene or whatever. So then they had writers, they sent over like exactly what the sound equipment had to be, and then they had to approve anything. If it wasn't just this, then they had to approve it, and food and flight. It was. I didn't like dealing with all that and I understand, like, they're flying all over the United States every single weekend, and people try to, throw them a cheeseburger or whatever. So I get, like, they have to have some of that stuff in, but I would have treated you better than what you was asking for.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So, but I understand that they have to.
That'll preach. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
but I get it at the same time, because we've sent artists to churches, and then they didn't have. They had the karaoke machine.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just like, eesh, this is, I get what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But this is not working.
That's another reason I was trying to streamline our live performance, because we didn't have that many inputs. Because, most of my stuff was running through a little mixer on stage anyway. But it's like, if you didn't have, like if the sound guy, whoever that is, if there even is one, If he's not pumping all my electronic stuff properly,
Right.
the whole thing's off. Like if we can't hear it, we're trying to play to the drum machine that's coming through there. If we can't hear it in the monitors,
Right.
it's a problem, and that kind of stuff. And if it's not pumping right in the house, then everything else just sounds stupid and out of place. So that's another thing. I'm gonna bring I have this bass amp that I'm gonna use as like my own personal monitor all the time. And I figured worst case scenario, if I show up somewhere to play, and just it's not happening from the sound end, like I've got everything. I can just crank up the amp. We've got all my electronic stuff. And Ben's got his amp with his guitar, and we're good to go.
Just blast it.
Just blast it.
Yeah. So how often is it where they don't have any sound guy?
I mean,
at
it
all?
depends on what kind of place you go to. Most of them will have some kind of sound guy, but it's they're not like really a sound guy.
They're serving coffee in between doing the sound or something.
It's something crazy like that, or they just don't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
So you say, "Hey, can I get more vocals in the monitors?" And it's the end of the world to try to get.
Just like, I don't know, bro. They
It's-
told me to just turn this one up and down.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's such a blessing whenever you go somewhere and you have just like a competent person that knows how to run their system.
Yeah. I think we're super lucky to have you here and some of the guys that you trained for us here. Just like,
Dude, Chevo stepped in for me the other day. He did a really good job.
he did a good job. He did a really good job, and it doesn't always happen that way. Some of the guys that we have, and they try. And I'm not putting anybody down at all, but it doesn't. You can always tell, and back in the day, we could always tell like if Calvin was up there or not.
Yeah.
We could always tell if you're up there or not.
Yeah.
But when he stepped in the other day, he did a really, really good job.
Yeah.
He did a real good job with Stephanie's song. Of course, she killed it anyways. But she made that one easy for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking about documentaries, the Hillsong documentary just came out. It's on FX. So if you go back on the FX app and watch it from the beginning, we're not quite finished with it yet, but man, it's been a really, really good documentary. I think at times it's what do they call those pieces, like
A hit piece.
a hit piece. Definitely, it was a hit piece at times. But if you could look past the hit piece side of it, the secular side of what they're looking into, because it's two worlds, right? You have one world that living and has certain ethical ways of doing things, and they're judging another total different world and ethics and all those.
Yeah.
So those don't always meet up in the documentary. So you got that part of it, but if you just look at it from a Christian leadership part of it and look at like how the church can be better, there's a lot of things in there. How a lot of times we overwork our volunteers.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, no matter how big your church is, you only have a certain percentage of people that's going to volunteer.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, you burn those people out. And then spiritually, they're not there because they're doing God's work, but they're doing so much of God's work, they're not actually being fed spiritually.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to be really, really careful about that, because I'm sure it's that way in every church. And the smaller the church is, probably the worse it is. But even in those bigger churches, what I got out of the volunteer part of it is they were so like top heavy as far as payroll, paying Hillsong the
big executive people.
Yeah, and then the pastor's getting paid good and the staff is getting paid good, and then they have these like, roadie type volunteer positions that are putting in like 40, 50 hours a week.
Get nothing.
They'll get the pre-food and the post-food, but they don't get paid at all. And some of them are trying to balance like real jobs and then some of them are just like, God is calling me to do this, so we're just living with mom in their basement and trying to put these 40, 50 hours a week into God, And I mean,
40, 50 hours is crazy.
it's a
for
lot,
volunteer.
man, for a volunteer, you know,
Like regularly, not even just
weekly.
We'll do stuff like that, like with the convocation or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's a half a week or whatever,
Yeah.
and you just deal with it for the week. You know.
But then even at the end of that week, you're like, man, I'm burnt out. Like I need to get some rest. And, you know, you get a couple of days rest before Sunday gets here. You know, you get like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then.
But that's
Sunday.
like 1 week.
Yeah. Yeah.
You tell me they're doing that kind of stuff like
every single week, you know, because it's a big production. It's not just a church service. I mean, they got the full blown, like you was walking into a concert every single week.
Oh yeah.
You know, the lights and the sound and the AV and the, you know, the merch sales on the outside and the coffee shops and the you know, they're all volunteer. Like you would think at some point, like you're making money. Where's the money going?
Yeah.
That's the problem that I had is like, where is the money going? And so Carl Lentz, he is a big part of the documentary, but he's not the documentary. Like his failures in Hillsong of him cheating on his wife, kind of sparked an investigation. Like, okay, what's going on? Why is this, you know, this pastor that's a celebrity hanging out with Justin Bieber and you know, all these New York rappers and different things, which I think that at the end of the day his heart was right trying to minister to these celebrities. And then you fall into being a celebrity because you're around celebrities, and then you're, on top of that you're in New York, so it's just the most high profile city, especially before COVID, that anywhere in the United States. And then you have these mega church, you know, on top of that. So you kind of fall into some of those things. And then when he had his failure with his family, like the local paper, you know, that's what they do, especially in New York. They're like, okay, let's look into this. What's going on? And one of the things that they said about Carl Lentz was that he had some of these issues before he got married, while he was in Bible college, as far as sexual type deals, like, and that, not that he was having sex in college, but he was having a lot of these like hard desires that he was really trying to fight off, of wanting different women and different things like that. And he was kind of a big shot on the campus type deal because he was the prodigy. He was, you know, always the best communicator in the room. And then when you go to Bible college, that's what it's about. Yeah. It's about being a communicator and how you communicate to the crowd. And that's one of the biggest parts about being a pastor on stage, is being a great communicator. And once you can do that, you know, you shine above everybody else. And then he got the Pastor Houston and his families, they seen him, you know, because he was standing out among the rest, and so he then became a part of the family, you know, and so, but in the documentary, he even talks about, like, as young ministers, that there's that thing that to really be a pastor or even a youth pastor, you need to be married, so you don't have some of those desires and different things with the young, with the young girls or whatever, where that stuff is being taken care of at home, so that doesn't roll over into your ministry, right? Sure. So he felt like, okay, well, I have to get married to take care of the desires, and if I get married, all those feelings that I have will go away. You know, and I think that's something that we have to be careful with, and I think it might be better now than it was when especially I was younger, because like we didn't talk about sex or sexual sin or desire or anything like that. That was an uncomfortable thing with with a dad and his son or whatever it may be. And then you get sent off to college, and if that has to deal with it, and for him, like, he got sent off to college on the other side of the world. And so the things that he might have been a little closer to home, he questions or whatever, may or may have not helped or whatever. But when I looked at it from a young pastor's perspective, I think that those questions really need to be answered and checked on. Like if you have a young pastor in your church, it might, hey, let's sit down. Where are you with this? I know this might be uncomfortable, but where are you in your sexual desires and different things like that? Because we want to make sure that you're ministering from an overflow and a healthy place. Because if you're not, you're ministering from an unhealthy, empty. And that's what Carl Lentz kept saying. It's like, man, I was ministering from an empty place. And then when that happens, then that's when the core issues in life start popping up, and then you begin to act on those things. And that's kind of the real big thing of the documentary that I took out of it. Just like, we need to be, as a church, more proactive about our leaders, especially when they become, when they're the biggest thing in the room.
Yeah.
And I understand it because, man, I wasn't even a rapper, right? And I would go to these shows and I would have people like talking to me, and I'm just like, man, this doesn't feel right. Like, we're not talking about music no more. You know what I mean? I had this lady she wanted a meeting with me, and our apparel was like really popping at the time, and we were selling a lot of apparel, but she was just like, okay, I can do your apparel.
Oh,
so I need to get a meeting with you, right? And I knew better than just show up with me and her, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't tell her, but I brought a business partner with me.
Yeah.
Well, this chick was like dressed, and I'm just like, man, I thought we were.
Where was it?
It was like this like a little Mexican restaurant, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And she was there before, and it was like a table in the back.
She got margaritas on the table.
No margaritas, but And then when she seen that I was with somebody, she was just like, and I'm just like, I'm not even the rapper.
Oh, that's funny.
But can you imagine if you are the rapper and the things that are being and some of the things that some of our artists would tell us is just like, hey, I just want to be up front, man. This is going on. And then you start seeing it. The same girls coming to every show, following this one guy around, and he's married, and so it's one of those things that you have to. Do you ignore it? Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's like our responsibility is him. But how do we navigate this thing, and Vaughn was always good about it. Vaughn, I don't think he ever was scared to talk to anybody about anything. And he would talk to some of these young ladies and just like, hey man, like, come on, represent who you are. You don't have. Oh,
he talked to the ladies.
Yeah,
He wouldn't talk to the guys. Well, I
No,
guess he'd probably talk both.
To both, but it was easy because we had a relationship with the guy. Like they were on our record label. They were normally a friend before they become, on the label or whatever. But talking to this girl that just shows up to, then we get to talk to her about self-respect and all the things. But what if that wouldn't have happened? And she's throwing herself at, and who knows if she stopped or not, but she stopped with this guy anyways. But I think as a church that we need to be more proactive, and a lot of times in the church, man, I really feel like that we're behind the eight ball and things, especially when we deal with another thing that they dealt with Pride, the Pride Month, and them trying to reach people that might have these things, they're gay or whatever, but trying to reach them and love them. But at the same time, when you do that, you show for the rest of the crowd that feels like you're standing behind what they're standing behind. No, there's a difference. There's a difference of loving people and trying to reach people, and then agreeing with what they're trying to push.
Sure.
And I think a lot of times Christians are a little bit selfish or something. I don't know what the best word is. If you love them, that means you agree with them. And that's not always the truth. I love some of them before I agree with them, before they decided to give their whole life to God. I was, walking them through their life. So, but it all changes if you're gay. Yeah. There's certain things in church that are okay. Like you could be a drug addict, a pimp, a prostitute. Oh yeah, Jesus loves you, but God hates facts.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's where we lost this whole generation, because the generation before, like my generation, that's what the message was. Like, God hates what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, God does hate it, but He still, that's like half of what the word was.
It's not the whole.
Yeah, God
story.
hates the sin, but He loves the person. But we didn't say that. We said God hates the sin. So now, when we're trying to reintroduce God into this culture, it's just like, yeah, God hates what you're doing, but let's focus on the love part of it, you know? And they dealt with a lot of that. They got a lot of bad, you know, publicity from their church for trying to love the sinner, you know? And of course, and then from the pride side and the LGBT plus and all that, they got a lot of kickback because they wasn't standing behind them. They welcomed them in the church, but they've also preached against what was wrong.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was a Pentecostal church, so I don't like what was you expecting?
Yeah, wasn't that a big part of the documentary? Was them being like, in Hillsong, like I feel like I think I saw a trailer where there was a girl who like attended one of the Hillsong churches, and she was like, yeah, I went to the church, and then they said that it was sinful for me to be gay.
Yeah.
And was like all mad about it, and it was like, well, what did you think?
Well, even like one of the secular reporters, he was just like, what was you thinking?
Yeah.
Like,
it was like she was trying to frame it like she was this big victim because she went to this church, and they were like, yeah, we don't, the Bible says this, so that's
yeah,
kind of
we'll love you, but it's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and that was their stance. And in the secular reporter was just like, I don't even know what some of these people were thinking, because look on their website. It tells you exactly who they are. They're a Pentecostal radical church. Of course, he calls them radicals, right?
Yeah.
Because they're Pentecostal. But but so that, and even Carl Lynch was just like, when's enough? Like when. Like, even when he was dealing with a lot of the black and white issues, when all that was going on during COVID, and, it was Black Lives Matter movement was real strong at that same time. And he was like, man, I really felt like I was doing everything that I could do. And of course, when he was just like, okay, let's really focus on this. And he brought a lot of the black members in and staff and different things, and was just like, tell me how you feel about this. So I understand because I don't, I went to an all-white college, and I grew up in an all-white neighborhood, and he was really trying to reach out to the black community to understand their point of view. And then so he started implementing, like, having more black people on staff and more people of color on the stage. And then it was just like, well, you're only doing that because
they're black.
Because they're black.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, no, what happened? We all got in the room together, and we were just like, how do you feel, and what do you want? And this is what you said you wanted.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, when's enough? Because he felt like that the line kept getting moved on him. When he would do what they wanted him to do, then they would just like, okay, well, now this and now this. And I don't know what the right answer is, because I could only imagine how difficult that situation must be, because we're blessed to be in a multicultural church, and so we've never really had any of those issues here. But it's just one of those things, and I was just thinking, here again, as most churches in America, Sunday is the most divided time of the week. Whites go their direction, Mexicans go their direction, and blacks go their direction, and then we're all in these separate echo chambers, and we're talking about God, but we all have a spin on it depending on what our culture is. And I don't see that in God's word. There wasn't a cultural spin on the word of God. That there was their own cultures, and Jesus did speak to them based on who they were, and if they were farmers or if they were fishermen or whatever. But it wasn't black and white. It wasn't a black and white thing. It wasn't
well, he kind of did sometimes, but when he did, it was stuff like he talks about the Good Samaritan story. That whole story is about the fact that these two groups of people that don't like each other.
Right.
Like, he uses that in the story, and then they end up the Samaritan ends up helping out the person that they're supposed to hate, and
Right.
that's the one that stopped. And also, like, he would use it, but
Yeah,
it was always to
would-
be like, hey, we should be helping each other out.
Correct, right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a one-sided culture
Yeah.
view of something.
He wasn't like, this is how the Samaritan should praise God. And
Right.
this is how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think when we in church, sometimes that's we have we have the white Jesus here, and then we have on the other side whatever they push from their culture or whatever, and I get it, because we have a view of what we know,
Yeah.
and I can remember just the different. I grew up in a community where I was one of the very few white people, right? And then you could just go into different Spanish people's house or black friend's house or whatever, and just the smells of the different foods that they ate and different things like that were so different, and the words that they used and was just different from home to home, much less being, raised your whole life in that culture, So it was really interesting, and that's the kind of things that I took out from it was just like how can us as a church, a body, not just Elam Church, but as a body, as the global church, how can we get ahead of some of these things, and so we're not always behind?
Yeah.
And I think that's when change really happens, is when we don't ignore what's going on in the world. That we had it face on. Is sometimes there are going to be some bumps and bruises, and we're going to do the wrong thing. Yes, and are we going to take backlash for it? Absolutely. But I think that the more honest that we are, and the more times that we take these things head on, and when we do have these stumbles, and we may say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, that people will be more likely to forgive us because they've seen the pattern of us really trying to stay ahead of some of these cultural issues that we're going through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting documentary.
But I don't think most people, if they watch it, unless you listen to me talk about it first, are going to get those things out of it.
Yeah.
Because I always, even when I was in the secular world doing secular work, anytime I went through a training, I was just like, how could that help Elam?
Yeah.
How can that help, my church family? And I would always try to look at it from that position. And then when I would go through training at church, I'm like, okay, how can that help me be a better manager over here?
Yeah.
So if you always kind of look at it from how can that help another situation instead of just being in the box that you're in, just kind of open your mind up a little bit and see how that can help, all the way around instead of just the little bubble that you're in. So
Yeah. For sure.
check it out, Hillsong on FX, and I think that if you kind of look at it through a open mind, you'll find a lot of different things in there that can that help you in real life. One thing I do want to talk about here, maybe in the next few weeks, is kind of the things that are going on in culture right now that I've seen is, and you've seen it too, is really them trying to smash the man down. And really the feminists rising up to the top, and and then some of the LGBTQ plus stuff is just like, if you really look at it, and I was just thinking about this on the ride into work today. If you look at the transgender stuff, who are they promoting? They're promoting men turning into women. Do you remember any women turning into men that they're promoting out there? Bud Light, any of these things are really promoting the feminist movement. And I know this is going to be one of those things that's going to be hard to talk about, but maybe we can find somebody that we can bring in that can really talk about it. Because what I see what's going on in culture right now is American culture right now is they're really trying to push the, what do you call it? You got feminists and you have, what's on the
They don't even
side?
have a man. I mean, you have the men's activist groups, but those guys are kind of a joke.
Yeah, but there's a word I'm looking for. Anyways, it's just like they're trying to get rid of that because who's going to stand up at the end of the day? It's still going to be the strong. Normally, the men are going to stand up for the rights. They're going to be the majority of the ones that are going to the military, and kind of what we talked about earlier is just like if you take 100 rights away and you give back 99, everybody's going to be okay unless there's somebody there that's going to stand up for all 100, and it's usually the men. The men are normally the ones that carry the load. So
you want to talk about some man stuff?
I do, because I think there was a study that I heard that they were saying that the testosterone levels in men.
Oh yeah, supposedly they're super low.
Yeah, they're super low now because of the foods, but they're doing that because the testosterone level, the higher the testosterone level in men. Or the more likely for men to push back in controversy if they don't agree.
Think they're doing it on purpose?
I think that there might be something to it. I think that there might be something to that. Well, I know that the Bible talks about in Genesis about us as men trying to be destroyed, and us coming back and stepping on the devil's head. And I think that if we look at that and fast forward it to now, I think you're seeing some of those things.
The gender stuff's interesting because I heard somebody, I don't remember who was saying it, but I heard it somewhere that they were saying that society today is praising men that display a lot of feminine qualities, and they praise women that display a lot of masculine properties, and then they are like shunning men that display men qualities and women that display more traditionally women qualities. It's like if they're praising people that go hard in the opposite direction,
right?
And yeah.
And I think that if you look at those things closely, and I'll try to do some research and try to bring some people in on it, because I think it's pretty interesting when you start talking about power from the top. Like, what's the easiest way to gain power from the people? And that's to take away the people that will fight. And most of those are the masculine people in the community. So I don't know, interesting. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it, man. I think that we got all the way through this thing with no issues.
Without it crashing and being horrible.
Yeah. If y'all like what you see, man, let us know. We'll definitely get it out there.
Yeah, so we're putting this on we started a YouTube channel. We're gonna start putting these on there. It's still gonna be on all the regular audio only places. So anywhere you've been listening to it, keep listening to it there.
Yeah, keep listening to it. We'll put the link to the YouTube page in the audio.
We'll link some stuff.
Yeah, we'll link it up. Check us out on Instagram.
Started an Instagram that we're gonna just like post stuff about the show on there.
Yep.
So if you got an Instagram, go follow it there at Refuge Project.
Yep.
I think there's an underscore somewhere.
Well, we got to do better.
Yeah,
that.
I think it's oh man, what is it?
We'll have all the links in the
we'll links and stuff.
That way you can find us, and we want you to interact, man. We're putting it up on video so we can try to interact with you guys.
Give us some comments on stuff that if you think something looks horrible, let us know. Whatever.
It's not gonna hurt our feelings, maybe a little, but as long as it don't get personal, we're good. Just let us know how we can improve.
We can talk about the shine coming off of David's head here. Check it out. Look at that. Oh, we can talk about that. Yeah, I like it. Anyway,
we need to get some makeup people in there to knock that down.
Oh yeah, dude, get some makeup people. Talking about being masculine and stuff, so give you some makeup.
Hey, you never know. All right, well.
Anyway,
we love you.
This is the Refuge Project.